Alright everybody, Amir and I are back on The Great Debaters, and today we're going to look at Nas's first two albums. Everybody thinks Illmatic is the one, but maybe Amir and I have a different opinion. Check us out, y'all. The Great Debaters. Alright Amir, so we're back here on The Great Debaters, and we have decided to examine Nas's first two albums to determine which one is the better Nas album. Illmatic, it was written. So Illmatic, of course, is the debut album, one of the most acclaimed albums in rap history. Came out in 1994. Helped bring New York back, as they say. Mm-hmm. So, for you, we both are well aware that two of the pillars of the album, Halftime and It Ain't Hard to Tell, came out prior to the release of Illmatic. So Nas had obviously had some high-profile guest appearances with Main Source and Chubb Rock, and then he started coming out with the singles. So for you, coming into Illmatic, you know, what were you thinking was kind of the image of Nas, or what you were thinking of him?
Just a master of the flow, great wit in his rhymes, like great wit, something that I hadn't seen someone do like that well. I know there's like amazing rappers like Rakim being one of his main influences especially, but just, I don't know, the way Nas is doing it, I thought it was so fresh for just such a young MC. That was 92 Halftime, I think. So man, I loved Halftime. Originally, that was my favorite song on the whole album.
Really?
And originally.
Wow.
We'll get into that. We'll bring that up a little later.
Shocking, Amir.
We'll bring that up a little later. But I thought that song was just freaking amazing, and I loved the Jungle Fever line in there.
Okay.
I just thought that was hilarious. But It Ain't Hard to Tell with Large Professor on the beat, dude, was just like
the Michael Jackson sample.
Boom.
But speaking of favorites, my favorite song, which is probably my favorite Nas song ever, is New York State of Mind.
Yes.
That's probably,
it's me too.
If not definitely, my favorite Nas song. DJ Premier, of course, did that one. And just the sonics, the atmosphere that Premier built, the story, the narrative that Nas told was one of those ones where it was almost tangible, although that's impossible obviously with music. It almost felt like you could smell New York, you could taste New York, you could see New York from what Nas was rapping in a way that is seldom done. So I thought that was phenomenal. And after the intro, to really start the album off like that, I was like, this is amazing. And then to follow it up with Life's a Bitch, I thought was an astounding 1-2 punch to hit you up with this super hardcore, borderline, menacing, gruff song, and then this wistful song with his dad at the end with the horn solo, AZ coming in, not knowing who he was at the time, of course. It was just, the album just started off so potently, and obviously there's only 10 tracks, so there isn't a lot to deal with on Illmatic, which I thought also made it great with The World Is Yours and Represent. Sitting in the Park is just so many amazing beats. One Love, Q-Tip came through with the xylophone gems. Sonically, and then of course the story and that, you know, writing letters and stuff. So I see a big smile, Amir. What's going on?
I've been smiling the past 2 minutes. Okay, dude. Hey, New York State of Mind. And I feel like on this Great Debaters show that we've had here, in a lot of these videos I've mentioned like just great intros to albums.
Right.
This intro, I don't know if you can debate. This has to be in your top 5 or top. It has to be in the top 10 as far as like track 2s and track 1s. It has to be. Me and Soren will, or at least I will fight you. I don't know about Soren. It's amazing, and apparently he did it in one take. Is that a myth? Is that true? I've heard it's true from a couple interviews and whatnot.
That I don't.
But
I can't speak.
Bro, because when he said, "I don't know how to start this, y'all," and he just goes on and monkey flip them and all that stuff, it was like phenomenal. But I don't want to stick on this one song. Memory Lane, man, is like another one. And as I was saying, at first, this is the reason why I think this album is like so great, and we'll talk about both these albums. The reason I think this album is like so crazy is because I've had 5 different favorite songs.
Okay.
First was Halftime, then it was Memory Lane, then it was World Is Yours, and then it was actually 4. And then lastly, it was New York State of Mind. It's been like that for probably like 5, 6, 7 years now.
As it should be. Although it should have just been the first time you heard it. Like, okay.
I agree.
Okay. It's over. But obviously, this album is super regarded as a masterpiece, and rightly so, for being brilliant. And without much further ado, let's just move on to It Was Written. The second album, which sold way more because of, at least on the official album, not the international version, If I Ruled the World, imagine that, with Lauryn Hill, with a big nod to Houdini and Curtis Blow on the lyrical and sonic side. So that obviously broke the album and was a huge song, and still is a big song, whether you're at clubs, sometimes on the radio, out and about and stuff. It's huge. And it really, I remember at the time it threw people off because people were saying Nas was like selling out, or Nas was trying to go commercial, or what have you. But I also remember thinking, why would they say that? Because he's got Lauryn Hill singing, and because the beat's a little more melodic. I didn't have any problems with it.
No, me neither. It was genius. And Lauryn Hill, especially with the Score album doing so well in the US and internationally, perfectly explains why it's his best-selling album to this day.
Yeah. And then, of course, they had Street Dreams, which had a great video with the casino play off of that. I thought was great. And Gave You Power, another phenomenal song.
DJ Premier.
For those that watch the entire channel, we have a best albums where Nice and Smooth talk about Machiavelli, and they talk about Me and My Girlfriend, and people were like, oh, Tupac did Nas. And one thing I always like to point out in that is, it's hard to say because back then the albums were made and then they took months and months to come out. It's not like now where an album can be done on Thursday and come out on Tuesday. Like, it doesn't work like that, or it didn't work like that back then. And beyond that, Nas and Tupac weren't exactly friends, so they wouldn't have been probably listening to each other's music like that. And then also, obviously, Tupac passed away before the Machiavelli album came out. So it's all kinds of stuff that Nas probably did it first, maybe did it first, but regardless, those songs are like close together. As far as things. So for you, outside of those tracks, what stood out to you about It Was Written?
The Message.
Okay.
The Message is one of my favorite songs, and it sparked controversy, as we know, with maybe those who don't know, just look it up, and with Kick in the Door and The Message, with the Biggie and Nas wars, etc. But I just thought The Message was just amazing way to start off the album after the intro. Not quite like New York State of Mind, obviously, but it's a very stellar intro. And Street Dreams, you mentioned, I Gave You Power. One thing I want to we've been talking about so much happiness and how we've been so happy about all the songs that we mentioned so far. I do want to kind of mention one part of this album that I didn't like, or I should say was disappointed in. And I believe if this was in 1996, I would have been like this, like so happy for it. But it was coming. The Dr. Dre produced Nas Is Coming with the very suspect chorus. And the nasty, I just thought it was so funny, nasty Nas is coming in and all this. I wasn't huge on the female chorus.
Shocker. Shocker.
I wasn't huge on the chorus, and I just didn't think the blend was all that well with Dre and Nas, and I was just a little disappointed. My favorite producer, one of my favorite MCs collabing in something that I thought was one of the lesser favorites for me on the album.
On the flip side of that,
think about that song.
Well, on the flip side, though, we haven't mentioned Black Girl Lost, which I thought was another great track that showed Nas expanding kind of his worldview as an artist and what he talked about, because Illmatic was very much about him and his experiences or things he saw, as people famously tried to attack him for later. But regardless, Black Girl Lost showed him going a little bit beyond himself to look at, different things going on in the world.
It's a good song.
And what makes it good to you?
The insightfulness. And as you said, people attacked him for it is he gonna put on this mask or this mask? I thought Black or Lost was sincere, and I actually really liked the singing on that chorus too. That was as opposed to the Nas Is Coming, but this was just an album packed with even the features, as he had boasted that Illmatic had only one appearance who wasn't very well known. I love the Mobb Deep features on here. That Prodigy verse on Live Brother Rap, I just thought was just like so freaking good over that instrumental, especially amazing. Even Havoc on the setup, I liked it. Lauryn Hill, we've covered that. We were introduced to Foxy Brown a little bit here, which is also probably my second other song that I'm not huge on, but I do like how Foxy was making an appearance in an Affirmative Action Man. I love that one.
Yeah. So both albums obviously are chock full of great songs.
Amazing.
So now, Amir, we have to come down to what the debate is. So for you, which of the first two Nas albums is the better album and why?
Illmatic. For me, personally, I love his flow especially. I love his flow, his confidence being such a young guy, his witty wordplay. The production, I think, is great on both albums. I do prefer it on the first, especially with the kind of all-star team-up we had here. Not to say the second album didn't have that, because it had some great producers on there as well. But I'm going with the first. There's no songs I would take off. Granted, it has the advantage of only 10 tracks, 9 full bloated songs. I'm going with 94 debut.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Illmatic also for many of the same reasons. Primarily because I think that it was written as a couple tracks, primarily the ones you mentioned that you weren't very fond of. I'm not either. That being said, it's obviously a phenomenal album and shows tremendous growth and the ability to have these amazing conceptual songs that we didn't see to the degree with Illmatic. I think songwriting wise, it was written as better, but I think as a complete package, Illmatic is better.
Yes.
So for that reason, Amir and I are both riding with Illmatic. But that's us, y'all. Make sure you guys let us know. Please subscribe, share, like, comment. Let us know what y'all think down here in the comment section on The Great Debaters. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir Rahimi.
Check it out, y'all.